Welcome to Wild Shift episode number 3. My name is Tzach, and over the past few years, I've been reflecting on my life in my home country and the choices that led me to where I am today. In this podcast, I dive into the stories of people who have made bold changes in their lives, leaving behind comfort for something new and unknown. Join me as I explore what inspired them to take these leaps and discover the impact of their decisions. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with others. And today I'm hosting Maya Kedem, a holistic life coach and the facilitator of the transformative inner walk practice on the peaceful island of Koh Phangan. With a background of working with addiction in rehab centers, leading women's circles, and working one-on-one in therapeutic processes, Maya brings vast experience and compassion to her work. Her magnetic presence and inspiring attitudes towards life captivates all who encounters her. Despite facing personal challenges, including overcoming an eating disorder, Maya's strong positivity helped her rise from difficult times and create profound changes in her life, using these learnings to help others. So, I'm going to welcome Maya.
Hi.
Maya is a friend that I met here. She's my good friend from the past 8 months. We met in Thailand in different places.
Many different settings.
and, and I think the first time when I saw you, and I don't think it's the first time you heard it, you have this kind of like presence. You have this, and it's not to compliment you because I don't care, because we're friends.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Keep talking.
Yeah. You have like a presence, like something about you, like the physical presence, and something about the way you hold the space gives like some sort of like confident or some like you'll be the first that I turn into if something happens around. You know what I mean? And I think that's something kind of like kept bringing me back to you in different variations. And the reason that I wanted to do this podcast with you is that I really want to know more about your world, your inner world. And I think other people that listen to this podcast deserve to know what I know a little bit about Maya's world.
Now I'm blushing.
Feel free. So I will actually start from the end.
Okay.
I will start from inner walk.
Okay.
So
The end is good.
Yeah.
It's not the end. It's a part of the way.
yeah, it's
but
about it's the recent
recent event
Yeah.
that we shared.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which was actually the only event that I saw you in a teaching setting. So 2 weeks ago, I was doing inner walk. It's a technique that I would like for you to share. It's connected to the Wonderland Healing Center. And it's been a while that I wanted to do that technique because I've heard about it way before I came to Thailand, and everyone was like, you have to do inner walk, you have to do inner walk. Before I share about my experience, can you share about what's inner walk?
Okay. So inner walk is a technique. It's, in a sense, a walking meditation. It's a practice that was invented by a monk that lives here on the island called Koh Phangan. And with association with the Wonderland, we created a program to enable this practice to whoever comes to the islands and wants to try it. It's a practice that actually brings you back into presence, awareness. It's a practice of walking. There's a shala, and you walk on concrete 15 meters back and forth for 4 hours and 4 days, which
Fun.
sounds crazy to most people. Like when you tell them for the first time, they're like, what? No, this is too hard. I cannot do this. And the purpose of this journey is actually to create, to raise the awareness, to be more present with yourself, what is alive inside of you, with your feelings, with your emotions, with everything that is. And through the practice, you start gaining that experience, that observation of what is happening inside of you. and starting to create some kind of gap between you and your experiences, you and your feelings, you and your emotions, and not connecting and becoming that. Starting to create that separation allows you to see your life. And the practice itself, it's kind of laboratory, playground to experience all these feelings, emotions, thoughts, and see that nothing is going to happen, and then actually translate it into your day-to-day life, seeing your situation, seeing your life, and seeing how your automated responses happen. So it's a 15-meter back and forth, 4 days, 4 hours. And in the beginning, you get some kind of a Dharma talk. We talk about how we work with emotions, how we work with feelings, how to observe. I think the reason I fell in love with this practice was the fact that it's a practice of allowance. I think most practices in our day-to-day life, meditation, yoga, anything is a little bit more, not rigid, but like you're holding on to something. When you're doing regular meditation, you need to either count your breath or hold on, or if a thought comes, you need to catch it, let it go. There's an anchor. There's something you're holding on to. There's like tension. And when there's tension, at one point, it's creating force. It's creating more energy. And when there's more tension, at the end, it's heavy. And what happens in inner walk is just you walk. There's no expectation. You're not holding a breath. You're not counting your steps. You're not walking slowly. You're walking as if you're walking with a friend, having a normal conversation, and just allowing everything, but with yourself, of course, no music, and barefoot, but allowing everything that is inside of you to come up. Mostly in life, we're not allowed. We're not allowed to be angry. We're not allowed to be sad or cry. We're not allowed to be excited, show too much happiness. Everything is not allowed. You need to be a certain way, a certain person. Society has this dictation of how we're supposed to look, be, act, and this practice actually brings it all out. And once you allow yourself, things can start coming up, and you can start observing more and more of your patterns and behaviors. And the reason we walk 15 meters and turn at the end is to wake up. The same way when we do regular meditation and the thought comes, and we come back to our center or to our anchor of breath or anything. So when we turn, we wake up.
And when you walk and then you do the flips.
We walk back, it's 15 meters back and forth. So at the end, we wake up. And that moment of waking up is what gives us the freedom of choice. We can actually keep choosing going with that thought, or we can actually say, okay, this is just a thought, or this thought is not beneficial for me right now, or maybe this thought is really important right now. I want to keep working with this, but I have the choice. It's a thought. I can see that it's a thought. It's not me. I'm not becoming part of it. It's a thought.
And you can't fail, because I think with the normal meditation, you always feel like you have to, I'm drifting into my thoughts, and then going back to your anchor, and like, what if I don't? And like, maybe I think I failed.
Blaming.
Oh, there's and then I have thoughts now. I mean, I think I'm not doing it well. Like you're kind of like not allowed to have thoughts, or you do, but you need to go back to your center. And with inner walk, I felt like I'm always succeeding. I just need to be here for 4 hours, but other than that, like there's not much expectations from me.
So it's funny that you're talking about success and failure, because like one of my teachers, which you interviewed a few days ago, I don't know when it will go in the order of things, but Yuval Fluk, he told me a story about his daughter. And he said that one day his daughter came back from school with a painting. She was very young, I think 6, 7, I don't know, with a painting. And I think the mother told him, or she told the daughter, that she got a sticker for her painting, for doing a good job. And then he told the mommy, they ruined my kid. Because we get so many patterns just by drawing a picture and receiving that affirmation that, oh, this is a good drawing. And then maybe next time, if I don't get that sticker, what does it mean about me? That my drawing is not good, that I'm not talented enough, that I'm not. So there's a big debating about like success and failure because like it's a drawing. It's just a drawing. It's not a good drawing. It's not a bad drawing. You're not succeeding and you're not failing. You're walking.
But in some ways, when you give yourself that sticker, there's like a sense of like being grateful. Like I've done it. That's my sticker, or that's my trophy. So you think there's a difference between someone's giving me a confirmation or validation, then I'm giving it to myself.
Um, I think it's the same actually. Like they're both not so beneficial, even if I'm giving myself the trophy of, oh, such a good job. I walked now 4 days, 4 hours. But then when I don't, then I'm like, you're a failure. Why didn't you? In my head, and it doesn't have to be an external setting.
Yeah.
It's just a story in our head. So when we give ourselves these accommodations of success, it's the same thing like a teacher giving us these grades in school. And why do we do that? Because this is what we were taught. This was the conditioning that we were taught in school, at home, everywhere. So we do the same with our inner talk. And just saying, okay, I walked 4 days. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I just did it. In our inner world, we learn that in order to feel good about ourselves, we need to have accomplishments.
A motivation. Something needs to motivate us.
Motivation. Exactly. We need it. It's a question. I'm asking myself all the time, what is motivation? Maybe not doing and just creating movement. Maybe that's the motivation. Or just if we talk about the practice talks about observing.
Yeah.
It's not a motivation. There is movement. Everything moves. The only constant thing that is in existence is when we die, you know?
Yeah.
That's like, but like life is movement. It's like nature. You see it, it grows, it falls. Like a tree grows, the leaves fall, it dies. Then there's like in the winter, you see it without any leaves, and that grows again. So it's the same movement. There's always moving. So choosing to succeed, choosing to fail, it's a choice. It's a thought.
You think people are choosing to fail? You think there's such thing as choosing that or being?
First of all, 100%. Of course, people are choosing to fail.
All right, you're very certain with that answer.
100%.
Very sure.
I think it's a defense. It's a defense mechanism that we create to recreate a pattern of something that happens to us and to keep creating that reality in our lives, because that's our safety mechanism that the mind creates to keep us safe. So,
But why would I choose that? To suffer?
suffer.
I don't want to suffer. I want to always succeed in life. I want to do things and be something. Why would I choose to fall down?
So many words like
I know.
Succeed, be something, be someone. Who are you being? And also when you said like suffer. So if you talk about Buddhism and also this practice of inner walk that is originally comes from a lot of the Buddhism practices. In Buddhism, Buddha talks about suffering. Suffering exists. This is also my belief. Suffering exists. And what we can do in this lifetime is to bring ourselves lower and lower on the scale of suffering. We will always suffer. Suffering will exist. And I always tell this story about what is suffering in inner walk, that the difference between pain, because we can have a physical pain, and suffering is what happens is this is our interpretation of the situation. Now, if we have a practice of observing, if we're present, we can observe, we can reduce our suffering. So when you're saying to yourself, oh, I completed 4 days of inner walk, yay me, I'm so successful, you're creating suffering. Because the next time when you don't do something or you don't complete something and you say, oh, now I'm failure because now this I didn't do, then this is suffering. because you're creating a kind of interpretation to something that just is. Nature just is. When a tree grows, it's not like, wow, I'm such a good tree. Yes, I succeeded. And then when the leaves fall, he's like, I'm a failure. I'm all this, that. And then it grows. There's no story behind it. The stories are us as human, our conditioning.
But what can motivate us other than success? Even in a relationship, we're moving to a different place or a different house, or we're going to a vacation, or we're doing something. I don't know, bringing a baby, or there's I think we're as humans, we are being led by it's a reason and a cause. Does that make sense? Like we're doing something in order to get something.
So I think that's our conditioning, and then we can choose if you choose that conditioning or not. I think for me, for the past 2 years, I've been working very hard on deprogramming that conditioning. Like I know, I'm observing, I see that this is my programming that I need to do in order to be someone, to feel something, to be validated, to be important enough, to be a therapist, to lead people, to be a facilitator. I need to have certain degrees. I need to be at a certain age. I need to have certain wisdoms or experience,
Or you need to look in a certain
I
way.
need to look in a certain way. I need to have a certain status, life status, money, whatever it is. But do I? Do I?
And you felt that. I mean, we're drifting in a different subject, but there were times that you felt that way. That you have to keep on with some standards.
Yes, my entire life. Still to today.
Still today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still to today. The deep
It's important to say that you're still work in progress.
Always, always.
We are.
I
Yeah.
think we are all work in progress. I think we will be for me, I think like I will be a work in progress till the day I die. Like I'm always seeking for more knowledge, more growth, more healing. So there's always I'm like, can I just rest for a second? Can it just be easy for 1 second? But like, it's life. This is life. Life brings challenges. Life brings a lot of gifts. And this is life. So there is always movement. And if you were talking a little bit before about motivation. So I think something that, and you were putting it in the same sentence, is gratitude. So I think for me and for how I see life, gratitude is the way. I don't know if it can create your motivation, but it's just, first of all, for the past, I think 4 years, I start every morning my day with saying gratitude. I write down, I have like this morning journaling that I do, and I write things that I'm grateful for in my life. And it could be smaller, the smallest thing. I'm grateful for my cup of coffee. I'm grateful for my family, for my dog, for the people in my life, for my teachers, for this table, for having a house, for having clothes on my body, for
having yourself,
for waking
your
up,
compass,
for
your
waking up,
center.
for my breath.
Yeah.
For like, it could be big, it could be small, but just doing this kind of like gratitude in the morning shifts my mind to see what is, what I have.
I love when you say what is, because last time when you said that to me, I was like, what is, what is, what is? So when I feel anxious, it's like, it's just is. And like with your face, it's just is.
It just is.
It just is.
There is like, we can talk about, you were talking about suffering. What creates suffering? When we think about the past and we think about the future. The only thing that exists is now, the present. Like maybe something will happen, maybe not. Something that happened in the past, it already happened. Like we cannot change it, we cannot control it. We sit, we dwell on it, we think about it, we obsess about, but it happened. Now, I'm not talking about now going into processes and not processing things from the past and working with them. But if we're talking about reducing suffering, it's being in the present. The more we are aware and the more we are able and conscious to be in the here and now, which is a friction of a second, and it's gone, and it's gone, and it's
it's
gone.
so small and it's so obvious because we sometimes like tend to look into the what's not and not what is.
Exactly.
You know, I don't have enough money. I don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or I don't have
This is
this or
also
that.
conditioning of society to always look out of lack and scarcity. And what are we lacking? What don't we have in our lives? What do we need? Where do we need to go? It's a pattern of society to keep us going and, creating and keeping us in this 9 to 5 structure of going to regular school, going to uh, college, going to work a 9 to 5 job in a company, having a title. I'm a VP, I'm a president, I am the manager, I am something very important. I am an important person.
I live in this house. I have this house. We're talking about it. And look at this house. I mean, but
Yes,
the
right.
irony of it.
The irony of it is that if you would tell me 2 years ago that I would live in Thailand, I would live in Thailand, in Koh Phangan, in this beautiful house, having this beautiful view, I would look at you and say, okay, whatever.
You're
Like,
joking.
yeah, I've never been to Thailand 2 years ago. Something I really like to talk about is the endless possibilities. How we're narrowing our mind to think this is our reality. And you were talking a lot about transformation and how we can create this life that if I was thinking 2 years ago, I had this plan. I was living in my normal life in Tel Aviv. And I had this, okay, I'm a therapist, so I need to work in this. And I have my apartment, and then maybe I want a nicer apartment, but like I'm in my life, and I just got out of a relationship, and I'm at this age. I'm already supposed to be married, supposed to have kids, supposed to like
A lot
all
of
these
suppose.
supposed to.
A lot of suppose.
Yeah, and like so much anxiety and so much scarcity and so much. And this was life. This was life as I knew it. I didn't know there was a possibility beyond this because this is what I was taught. I was taught to go and finish school, 12 years of education. Then in Israel, we go to the army. So I need to go to the army. But let's say I was in the States, my sister, my family that lives in New York. Okay, you finish school, you go to college, university, you complete that. During that, you have to already intern or do some kind of to set yourself up. And everything is setting myself up for my next phase. And then I do my first job, the entry point job that I'm just working really hard, working like crazy hours and like to get to the next point in life that would be my next position or getting a better salary, better.
You get your next sticker.
Yeah,
my next. You're full of stickers.
yeah. And wow, so much suffering. Like I'm always living for the next thing. And it seems like I'm living life because like, okay, yeah, I'm traveling. I was traveling a lot. I was going to places, had a lot of family, friends. I was like, and having like nice clothes, a nice apartment. But I was always running after the next thing, comparing myself to other people, comparing myself to older people, younger people, not present, not really happy, very disconnected.
But suffering is a big word. Did you actually feel suffering? Because I think, I think a lot of people that can watch us and say, well, she had great life. What she's complaining about? She had an amazing apartment. You lived by the beach, if I remember correctly.
Now in Tel Aviv, yeah.
Yeah, in Tel Aviv, and you had your life. I mean, traveling, and what are you complaining about? Sorry.
I wasn't complaining that much at that point, and I don't think I'm complaining about it today. I think today I just have an eagle eye, like a view on how it was and what it was. I think when I moved into my last apartment in Tel Aviv, I was actually already in the process of, and I think that was also an apartment I manifested by doing this work of gratitude and choosing to live on the beach first line, waking up every morning, seeing the ocean in Tel Aviv, for me, that was like also something I didn't believe was available before that, because I was living in this lack and scarcity. And when I got to that apartment, I was like, every morning waking up and looking at the ocean and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I did something good. Like being very, very grateful to what is. And not what is next. What is my next house? How my next house is going to look. But suffering, as I said, exists. I was always suffering. We all suffer as humankind because of our conditioning of the mind. When we're not suffering, it's these frictions of seconds when we're present, when we're here, when I'm with you, when I'm looking in your eyes, when I'm taking a breath, when I'm smelling, having a smell. One of my studies was also mindfulness, to be present, to see what is. All of a sudden, if you pay attention to just what is right now in the space, I focus on the candle, I can smell it. So there's a candle here. And then I see the flowers, and that's giving me, and I'm just here. And right now, there's no suffering for me because I'm present. But then I go back to, okay, what am I going to say? And is it going to be important enough? And how am I going to look in the camera? And how is the background looking? And what are they going to think? And is what I'm saying correct or incorrect? And the cycle goes on. And then I can come back in a second and look in your eyes and just be present with you.
Wow, that's a really a degree of like being present and mindful of the being present, because I think as for me specifically and for other people, I'm sure it's quite difficult to be here and now and not in our head and not in our whatever.
You can practice a million years, okay? And still you will go back to your head. They always say it's like you can be a Buddhist monk and be in the cave for 10 years, but the mind will still work. And then you will come out, or you think you're enlightened, go spend time with your family, the people that are closer to you, and they will also still your mind. I was talking to a friend yesterday. He said, oh, I was 2 years in Koh Phangan during COVID, and I felt like a Zen master. I was like so centered and controlling my mind. And then I went back to Israel, and I was like, the minute I got into a cab and the taxi driver was cheating me with money issues,
Yeah.
all my anger came out on my wife and everything. Like this Zen master was gone,
Gone.
gone, gone. The reality hits.
It's interesting because so you think so what you're doing now you can only do here. So I mean, I'm trying to frame this question. Do you think with all the practices that you've studied along the years, you'll be able to take to a different place, let's say to New York or to Tel Aviv, and to be mindful of what is, rather than like focusing that there's a war behind or there's in this or that? I mean, I don't know, like, are you advising people that are living in cities like New York or like in 10 cities like, like England to move to Asia? Like, what are you saying?
First of all, I'm not advising anything about anyone about anything. I'm not advising. I can share
But inspiring.
I can share my personal experience and my personal life and my personal choices that were led by circumstances of life, of starting to see these patterns, these mechanisms, and choosing to change the way I live and choosing to work according to my physical body, my nervous system, through feeling. The body speaks and knows what it needs, what it wants. So I will not advise anyone to do anything. I will say, having these practices enables, even in places like Tel Aviv, New York, Hong Kong, wherever it is, big cities, London, Barcelona, to apply these practices. But it is much harder to stay centered, to stay in this place of presence when there are a lot of distractions. And it's not just physical distractions like living in a city and being in concrete and not being in nature, for instance, not feeling nature, not seeing nature. Nature is one of our biggest teachers. So just being in a concrete surrounding is a first experience to getting more away from presence, from being connected to something bigger. And besides that, it's the mentality. The mentality of people in big cities, or at least where I came from, if it's New York or if it's Tel Aviv, it's a very go, go, go mentality. It's a mentality of doing, doing. And my work in the past 2 years, and I think in general towards the work of Buddhism, is being. And I think today in society, people don't know how to be. And it's very hard to be.
It's quite scary.
Very scary.
It's terrifying.
Very terrifying to just be. What will happen? What's next?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I can imagine my family, or I can imagine like friends or people that I know that are still in Tel Aviv or in other cities. Like, do you want me to, like, do I need to leave the city, leave my job, do something that is totally like unfamiliar, and like living in a foreign country and just like being by myself? Like, what is this?
First of all, this is crazy.
It's crazy.
This is a
It's
format
crazy.
of craziness to most people.
I mean, personally speaking, I have to say that I felt that I needed to do that after my breakdown. I was like, okay, I need to. I mean, I was judging myself by thinking that it's like escaping.
And I'm sure this escaping wasn't your story. I think it's a story that people were telling you while you were judging yourself.
You're running from your problems.
Exactly.
You're running from your thoughts. You're running from your issues. You need to deal with them. You need to. And I was like,
But did you have room to deal with them there?
I had a therapist. I was like,
Did
I
you
have
have room?
no. Yes, no, and
You can
no.
have everything. You can have the whole.
I have friends. I have family. I have
everything.
everything,
But there's no room.
no.
There's so much condensed energy and tension around everything. You used to be a doer, right? In life.
Yes.
Going,
Always.
doing.
Always.
What's the next job? What's
No,
my next
always.
title? How
Yes.
much money am I gonna get? How am I gonna build a
I
house?
had like
get in a
a daily
relationship?
to-do list, a daily and a weekly to-do list. What am I going to do today? What I'm going to do this week? And what am I going to do in life? What's my expectation? Do I want to like have a podcast? Do I want to like, I don't know, have a fit body, or what do I want to do? And also today, buying groceries, buying this, buying that, taking the dog out, like small things. That was, and like I would tick it, and these were being my stickers.
Yes, I think that
I did it.
love it until today. I love completing.
And there
my
were some
tasks.
days that I had zero to-do list, and I'll be like fucking miserable.
Yes.
And I was like,
How do I be? Just be.
what am I doing today? It's Saturday. You know?
Because our doing is what we're creating suffering. If we're not doing, what are we? Who are we? What are we worth? And those questions are questions we're not ready to deal with. Really profound. It's like, okay, if I'm not this manager or a mom or a daughter or a yoga teacher or an actor, whatever it is, if I'm not that, who am I?
You think that's the question? You think that's what, if I'm not going to do anything, I'm like, the question that rises is, who am I? Like, why?
Am I important? What am I worth? Like, for me, that's what comes up a lot. Like, if I'm not this person, okay, I'm not helping others, I'm not, I think a lot of people take their energy or their success by what they're doing for others, or who are they and what their accomplishments are. And it's like that sticker for the kid. Okay.
I love that sticker metaphor.
Yeah,
Coming all
that
the
sticker
time.
for the kid.
I love
You
that
drew
sticker.
a painting.
Yeah.
I'm going to work. I still need to go to work. I need to work. I need to do something. For me, I think especially for therapists, you can see it. It's a very known fact that, like, as a therapist, I'm saving someone.
Yeah.
Or I'm helping someone. So now I'm
I
this
have meaning to
amazing,
something.
good person that is helping and saving. And no, I'm not. I'm not saving. No, I'm not saving anyone.
You don't feel like this is your motivation when you talk to people and you inspire them and you take them to a different way? And maybe also this podcast
When I see it, when I see that happening, I see it's my ego.
It's your ego.
It's not really this, it's a part, it's an identity inside of me. It's a part inside of me that is like, okay, now I'm an important person. Now I'm helping. I have the power. No. And then I see it. I say, oh, that's such a cute part of me. Oh, it's so cute. It
That's
wants
how
to
you
be.
see it.
I really see it. And I'm like, okay, but let's go back. No, I'm here. I can give tools. I can assist. I can help. I can guide you. I
Wow.
can give you a hand. But I'm the same like you. I don't have any power over you. I'm not here to
But
save you.
sometimes you do.
So it's
Oh,
interesting.
like it's interesting because I'm kind of like even like I'm trying to push you, but not really trying to push you to a place that you are doing amazing. I mean, people around the island or some people that you touched maybe feel that they still have your voice into their head. I mean, last week I think I voice messaged you, just a small example. And I was like, Maya, this is a voice message on WhatsApp. I have to tell you, I had this experience and I thought about you. What do you think? What do you feel when you get
Oh,
something
I
like that?
feel so good
And
when
don't
I
say it
hear
because I
it.
sent
No,
you
no, no. I feel so
my.
good. And I used to get it
Yeah.
also from my clients and like people that I guide and even friends, you know? It feels so good at that moment. I'm like, I helped someone. But I'm able now to observe it and understand that if I'm holding to that, to the fact that, now Tzach thinks I'm important, then when Tzach doesn't think I'm important, I'm going to suffer. Do you understand what I
Can you share
mean?
more a little bit?
So when it's exactly the same thing like I was talking with the stickers. Because now I'm an important person. I helped stuff.
Yeah, and also don't you want to produce more of this?
So
I helped him, like why not like
this
multiply?
is definitely something that I want to do. I feel that the path that I went through in life, we're talking a lot about suffering. So something I figured out a few years ago was that my purpose, one of my purposes in life, is to reduce suffering. It was really hard for me to understand this because it was like, this really doesn't sound good. It doesn't sell. What are you doing? I'm reducing suffering. You know, people want to hear
Director
you
of
say,
reduction of
yeah,
suffering.
people want to hear like, oh, creating happiness. Oh, solving problems. Oh, but for me in my life, I had so much suffering throughout my life. And I think my main path was receiving tools how to reduce that suffering in my life. And I feel like today I can assist people and guide people to help them in this journey of receiving tools. And what I teach is my learnings. It's only what I walked the walk.
Yeah.
Is my experience. What is the things that helped me to get to where I am today. So I will not sit in front of any of people I facilitate or any of my patients and be like, oh, I learned all these degrees and I am this important person that knows more than you. No, for me, we're the same person. I'm just a person that has a little bit more experience than you in certain fields. And maybe in other fields, you will have more experience than me and you will be able to teach me in a different place. But in the current setting, I'm here to give my teachings. But I'm not more important than you. And if I try to hold on to me teaching you and you succeeding with this teaching, so also when you fail in life, and I worked a lot with addiction. So in addiction,
You started working with addictions. No, how what was your start? Like you started as like with addictions, like therapists. What was your path? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, 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 it's fine. So we can do a. So I was talking about this life path of going in the right direction. So finished 12 years of school, went to the army, did my undergrad and my BA in business marketing and entrepreneurship, and started working and moved to New York. My dream in life was to move to New York to work in fashion. That was my dream my whole life. I was born in New York. My family lives in New York, New Jersey, and that in the tri-state area. And my dream was to live in Manhattan and work in fashion. Amazing dream. I moved to Manhattan. I ended a 7-year relationship and I moved to New York and started working in fashion and had my dream come true. And I was miserable. I was suffering so much. When I left Israel and I left my partner and left life, I kind of pulled the rug under my feet.
Okay.
Because I left all the things that were stabilizing me. That relationship was kind of a band-aid that was holding me together. So until the age of 26, I was completely dissociated from my life. I was
Automatic mode.
I was on automated mode all the time. I was living life and everybody thought I was this happy person and like surrounded by a million friends and living this amazing life. And I got to New York and having my dream job and suffering and not understanding. And when I got to New York, I started experiencing anxiety attacks and depression. And that's when I had my really big crisis in life. I developed an eating disorder, bulimia, and I was lost. I was just lost. Like I couldn't go to work. I couldn't understand what was going on. And that was actually that's where my journey started. That's where I say today, I was like, my life really started. Because until that point, I was living someone else's life. It was definitely not my life.
So you've been awakening in some ways.
So my awakening came up a little bit later in the journey, but that was the starting of the awakening. That was like the crisis or the break that set me on my journey to wake up, to connect to myself, to become myself. And at that point, I couldn't see it. I was like in pure suffering for many years. For around 4 years, I was very deep into the disease, into the eating disorder. And I moved back to Israel. I was treated.
You moved back to Israel after how many years in New York?
A year and a half.
A year and a half, right.
Yeah. But then I started building myself and I found the right therapy for me and the right therapist that worked with somatics, which is body work.
Okay.
And I always tell her, like, you saved me, you changed my life. But she gave me her teachings because she's been through the path. And I feel until today, all my teachers are people that have been walking their path and give me their knowledge. And by showing me their way, they're able to help me heal my inner parts. And that's what I feel I do today. So at some point after going through my healing process, that's when I had that, one day I had this like aha moment that, okay, I was in this workshop of women and I was seeing this facilitator facilitating us. And she was so aligned. She was so in her center. She was like radiating this like joy of like, I was like, wow. And it was like, this is what I want to do. Like I saw she was in her calling, in her like, and it was so beautiful. And then I knew like, this is what I want to do. I want to treat people. I was working then as a marketing manager in a high-tech company. And I'm like, okay, I know. And I was very lucky. Like a lot of people can go through their entire lives and not know what they want or what they're supposed to do. And throughout all the pain and suffering came this like really profound understanding that, okay, I have a job here. Like I have something that I'm meant to do.
Wow.
And it's to help people and to give guidance and to show the light in the pain or in the darkness and to light those dark places and help people through this healing process. And now it's how to do it. And that's where I started my journey of I studied coaching, mindfulness, the Buddhism world, and that's through Koh Phangan, Thailand. But I was working in a rehab center in Israel and I was working also in a rehab center here and I started working with eating disorders. And this whole history came from the fact that we were talking about success and failure and going into that place of suffering. So when I have, and this is something that you learn only through experience, because in the beginning, I wasn't seeing that blind spot of like, okay, I have clients and I'm helping them and I'm feeling this amazing feeling. And like, but then you have clients that relapse and you have clients that quit and they're not willing to go through the path. And then are you a failure because they're not doing the work? Exactly the same way as you giving them a good advice and feeling, oh, I'm a success because now Tzach is feeling good and amazing. But then Tzach is feeling bad maybe from what something that I said or from himself. Do I hold on to that? Am I a failure? Do I feel bad now because you're feeling bad? So when you're holding to a success or you're holding on to a failure, they're both suffering the same way.
So you prefer not to hold into either of them?
I'm human. I hold on
because
to everything.
like you can like hold into something good, but you know that it's something good can also be something negative.
It's
So you're saying to yourself, I don't want to be attached to this or to that.
Exactly. It's just having this awareness that I'm attached.
In some ways, it's like reducing expectations from things.
100%. Expectations equals suffering.
Yeah, yes. And we talked about it, Yuval and I, and this is going to be the next podcast, so I'm not going to spoil it. But it's like you're managing to not expect from the small things that these should motivate you, because you should be very proud of things that you do and accept. And it's like, no, I'm not taking it, or maybe I'm taking a little bit of that. Or I'll be like, give me more. Thanks, give me more compliments. Like, I'll give you more advices also.
So I think in my life, and especially working with eating disorders, that has a lot to do with how you see your body and how you see your self-image and how you look and how you perceive yourself. And even when we were starting this session, I was telling you, I have this perfectionism that like really manages me and like, it like gets me stuck and it gets me in stagnation. I'm not moving. Because like I'm like, okay, this needs to be perfect. So we have the candle and we have the flowers and we have the background and how am I looking? My hair, and it's all the time this obsession and energy consuming thing.
Are you judging it?
Of course. But I'm also not judging it because I learned that having this quality of like, this is part of my personality. I see beauty in everything. I see beauty in the small things. And the fact that I like beauty and aesthetics and nice clothes is a part of me. And I love this part. I see also the part that is judging and holding and consuming time. And I see also the part that is bringing more beauty into the world.
And it's actually really important, and I can really, like, it's, for me, it really resonates with what you're saying, because it shows that you're not like, I'm going to be saying a really radical word, but you're not like a hippie. I'm not like, it's fine living in a tree or in a bungalow or whatever.
No, definitely not.
I'm like, being present. I'm like, it is what it is now. And like, I'm happy with that. You're still keeping your standards. You're still going to do makeup before that interview.
Yes.
You're still moving all this layout.
And also I wish in a place that I didn't do it. Sometimes I wish I didn't want to put makeup, that I would not have this conditioning of looking in a certain way or being, but I'm also thankful for that. And I think it's the allowance of being of being this part of me and this part of me. Because sometimes I'm a hippie and I wear a feather earring and I go to ecstatic dance and I like singing Kumbaya in a circle and I like singing mantras and I like meditation and I like yoga. And I also really like going to the mall and buying fancy, nice clothes and going to a really good restaurant and fine dining. And I like living in a nice house with nice furniture and driving a beautiful motorbike. And I love nice things. But I also like spirituality and I also like being present and centered and seeing people for what they are and not what they wear or their status, or if they're some kind. Yesterday I was at a restaurant in Wonderland and there was this woman and she was sitting with my partner and they were talking and I just came to talk for him for 1 second and I was like, oh, hi, I'm Maya, and I left after. And then in the evening when we were on the bike, he told me, oh, you know who that person was? And I'm like, no. So she's a very famous person in Israel. And I'm really this person that never knows people. Like I see a person, I will never know who it is. I don't know famous people. I don't recognize them. I'm really bad at this. And it was so funny. I'm like, oh, I wish I knew for a second. I was like, oh, maybe I should have been nicer, or maybe I should have had a conversation with her. And and then he was like, well, actually, I had a conversation with her, and we always come to this conclusion. We have a lot of conversation about she's a person. She's just a person. And I looked at her as just a person, not the whole story of who she is and what she is. And even when I wanted to talk to her, it's because maybe she has something interesting to teach me. I keep myself curious. And it doesn't matter if it's someone that is 10 years younger than me. I can sit with someone that is 10 years younger than me and can give me an amazing teaching. Or I think our biggest teaching can come from kids. Just watching them run, watching them play, watching them go back to the basics with before conditioning came.
Before we forgot our inner children.
Yeah, when you're running, a kid runs and
Having
he falls,
fun.
he cries.
Yeah.
He really cries. It hurts. And then he gets up and someone will give him, and he's like happy again, a second later. And there's no conditioning of what will people think if I cry or what people think if I won't take it. Or there just is. Like you were saying.
I'm thinking of what you said to me that like I was really thinking about it after inner walk about pain. Like what's the difference between pain and suffering? And when you shared about the children, that was like a child just falls and then they move forward. But sometimes we fall and then we start telling ourselves a story. And it's about everything. It can be a physical fall, but it can also be with like falling. You know, like, oh, I don't feel well today. Maybe I don't feel well at all. Maybe I should do something else. Maybe I should leave. Maybe I should this, like running away and like starting to build that narrative. And then I'm thinking about you and I'm like, it's okay. It's a pain now and today. And maybe tomorrow not.
Maybe in an hour now.
Maybe in an hour.
Maybe in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And maybe it will last for 10 days now. And maybe it will last for 2 months now. That is also a possibility. And it is. It is. It is a possibility. I had an accident a year and a half ago. I opened my head. I had a concussion, and this was my I don't know, third awakening, maybe this journey, and it set me on one of my deepest journeys. And this journey connected me to myself, to my body. And I already had so many tools of working with trauma and working with awareness and working with consciousness and inner walk and inner work of working with my inner parts and my inner child, and nothing helped. Nothing.
Wow.
I went into a state of trauma that I had the accident activated I have complex post-trauma, and it activated it very, very deeply, and also my eating disorder. And it just gave me another lesson in life to face things again, even that I have all the tools and all the things. And it said, okay, you're ready for your next step, for your next learning.
Wow.
And I was stuck there for 10 months.
10 months.
10 months I was stuck.
On the island here.
I was in Israel in the beginning when it happened. And after 3 months, I came back here. And from the minute the accident happened, I knew that it happened for a reason.
You knew that?
I was suffering, but I knew there was a end point. I knew that it cannot, I will not be stuck like this forever, although I felt like I will be stuck in this forever. I had this deeper belief inside of me because of what I've been through with the eating disorder in the beginning, and seeing that that was my gift to wake me up and send me on this journey of life and healing of myself and others. I knew this accident came for a reason, to wake me up, to give me another teaching, to go up to my next level. And it really did. And it's really a choice how you look at it. And I was suffering. I was in really bad anxiety from morning till night. And this was my defense mechanism of my body that created this. And every day I would tell myself, there is a reason. You can't see it right now, but you will see it.
Wow.
And one of the reasons I think was to bring me back to Koh Phangan because I was in Israel and I came back to Israel to pack myself. I was here. I came to Koh Phangan on a 3-week vacation, stayed for 6 months. And on my inner walk, on my last day of inner walk, I got offered a job here in the rehab center. And I was like, I'm in heaven and I'm getting offered a job in heaven. What is happening here? And I decided to stay for 6 months. After 6 months, I went back to Israel to pack myself, and all of a sudden good things started happening because I was very centered and very aligned in work and people and life. And then the accidents came and stopped everything. And when I came here and I was going through this process and like being with this, yes, maybe it will pass tomorrow, but maybe it won't. Maybe it will last 10 months now, and maybe it will last 2 years, and we don't know.
Wow.
But only that tool of not attaching to it and observing it and having also a belief and having trusting the path and the way and is the only thing that kept me going. To know that there is for me a reason, there is a higher knowledge, there is, and this path in the last 10 months connected me to my body, connected me to my felt sense, connected me to my nervous system. It just pushed me against the wall. This is what you have to do. And I think today I can say I'm the most connected I am to myself, to my body. I know where I'm supposed to be, where I'm not supposed to be. I give for anyone that crosses my path and I bring my teachings, I'm a better teacher. I know more about this crazy mechanism, this system that is like, we have here a motherboard that most of us in life are just disconnected from it. And it's in the health department and in the feeling department, in work department, any part. And it's just when we meet a person and we get a gut feeling that, no, I don't want to be here. And just listening to that, because most of the time we'll just put it aside because we're supposed to please or do something or... So just learning this mechanism today is making me a better person, a better teacher, a better partner, a better daughter, a better friend. And these are the paths in life that we go through. And like you said, if I would attach to it and I would stay in that suffering and I would say this will never end, maybe it would take longer to end. I don't know, but it's part of it.
So when you started saying that all of your techniques and all of the workshops and everything that you studied over the years didn't help when you had that accident, but actually you corrected yourself with noticing or without, like, because actually like you had the understanding that you will come out of it.
Yes.
Which is not to take for granted, by the way.
No. And I did,
because a lot of people are having a yes.
But I was in a story in my head because I'm a doer, like all of us. The first few days I was like, this is nothing. I didn't understand a concussion is a big thing. It's a big trauma. Even a doctor after told me, like after a couple of weeks, it's 2 to 4 months of recovery. Like you don't know, it's a head injury. For me, it was like I was supposed to go to work to fly to Cyprus for an opening of another rehab center a few days later. And I was like, okay, I will come a few days late. Like I didn't realize it was a big thing. So there was a lot of inside of me struggle between the part that knows and the part that doesn't know. And actually one of the strongest tools and the only one that actually helped me throughout this time was inner walk.
Inner walk.
Yes, I would go underneath my house in Tel Aviv on the boardwalk and count 15 meters and I would walk. And that was the only thing that brought me back out of the anxiety, out of everything, to be present. It would stay like this for a couple hours. It wouldn't last long, but that was the only thing that actually brought me out. That and also being in service. And because I was still having my clients that I was treating. So when you're at service, it's also, like you said, this feeling of good, I'm doing good. When you're doing your calling or your service or whatever it is, so for me, it's when I'm treating or when I'm facilitating, I'm in this place of non-self. I'm not Maya. I am right now a part that is teaching. And when I'm this part, I don't have suffering because I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about the teaching. I'm thinking about what I'm giving. I'm being for others. And a great way to get out of a lot of states is to be for others, to do, to share, to help, to contribute, if it's volunteering, if it's. So these were the two main things that helped me. And of course, using all the tools. It might have taken much longer if I didn't have all the tools that I
Yeah.
had throughout the life. And asking for help, knowing to ask for help
You know,
and guidance.
it's so hard to ask for help. I mean,
So hard.
it's hard to ask for help. That's one thing, but it's also hard to find help
Yes,
because
the right help.
the right help. Thank you for correcting me because there's like an ocean of people and techniques and workshops that wants to help you. And it's so hard to find the right person. Like, I remember when I started having my anxieties and everything, it felt like the machine is broken now. Like, there's like something is broken. I don't know. I know this body for 35 years. I don't know how to operate that now. And there's this someone is like offering meditation, someone's offering yoga, inner walk, many techniques, like hundreds or thousands of techniques that and therapists and psychotherapists and everyone's are willing to help you. And obviously it's all like a matter of money, and it costs a lot of money, and you know, doing it on a weekly basis or bi-weekly. How do you find the right help in this ocean of
That is
help?
a very, very interesting question. I think a lot of it has to do with intuition. And the more you are connected to yourself and you're listening to yourself, you will be guided to where you need to go. And it's also trial and error, like everything in life. You have to try in order to see if it's the right fit for you. You know, a lot of people come to me, they're like, oh, I don't believe in therapy. I don't believe in it. I don't, because they went to one person and that person didn't work for them. So if a child, okay, that is learning to walk will start walking and fall, and then they'll say, okay, that's it, I'm
I'm done
done.
walking.
I'm done. No, we get up and we try another one. And to trust your intuition to lead you the right way. I really believe in word of mouth and listening to people that I trust, and I that's how I got to all my teachers, therapists throughout the path. Um, I really believe in the power of manifestation and the power of what is right for us comes our way if we just listen. The problem is that we're disconnected from ourselves. And then, of course, we will not find the right match. It can be in a therapist, and it can be in a partner, and it can be in a job. So, what I would recommend in finding that right person is to listen inside to yourself and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Do I need someone to listen to me? And that would be a therapist, a psychologist, a psychotherapist, a coach. Do I need right now to work with my feelings? What am I listen to yourself? What am I not giving room to? What part of myself? If I already have a therapist, maybe I need to add something to my routine, which is a practice. Practice gives me discipline. That gives me the ability to observe my thoughts, my feelings. If it's meditation, amazing. Because some people do vipassanas, do meditations. That's their tool.
And what about grounding techniques like the gym
Amazing.
or seeing a friend?
Amazing. These are all amazing tools to support yourself. I don't believe in one solution. I don't think there is one solution for me, and I see it really in my journey how it's a multidimensional work. It's a physical work. Working with the physical body is one of the key elements to anything that has to do with the emotional body. Okay, our mind and our body are one. They're intertwined, they're connected. If we're sick, usually it's because something in our mind is happening. It's because we're feeding our mind in maybe negative thoughts, maybe pushing our body too much at work because our mind is telling us, oh, you need to be doing this, da 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 da, and then our body collapses. The body will tell you what you need always. It's an amazing, amazing teacher. So doing work with your body, and it could be working emotionally with your body, like SE work, which is somatic experiencing. It could be movement, it could be dance, it could be ecstatic dance, contact, just dancing in your house, being with your body, seeing what comes up. If it's more working with your emotions, so as I said, psychotherapy, working with IFS, family constellation, and at the same time, going to the gym. If we're working out, it could be just walking on the beach, it could be going to the gym, it could be yoga, it could be any kind of movement that your body is asking. The body needs movement to heal. It needs movements to create bodily hormones that make us happier. So working with the body is integral for our mental health, for our physical health. So working in all aspects, there's not one thing. You know, some people go to a psychologist and they're like, oh, I got to them. You didn't solve it for me. No one is solving something for you. And so it's understanding that it's a multidimensional approach and a holistic approach. For me, I do so many different things. I do acupuncture, I do breath work, I do yoga, I do meditation, I write, I do inner walk, I dance. Dancing for me is one of my biggest outlets. I have a psychotherapist that I do my one-on-one sessions. I have a Buddhist teaching person that I go to for certain teachings. So this is our life work. This, not outside, not where we're going. This is our life work. And doing this, we're going to do work. Still, you have to wake up and go to work and bring money and stay in the house and have food.
But you can mix and combine.
But you can combine it. And you need to see what is the right combination that feels right for you. And also in that place, not pushing again, not putting force. Oh, I need to do this and this and this, and I need to go to the therapist, and I need to go to the ice bath, and I need to go to the dancing, and this is creating again too much. Go back to the being, to the less. So hard for us to do less.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit,
do less.
Yeah.
And be super compassionate and gentle with yourself, and not to push, to be very, very easy with the smallest parts of us, because it's a life journey. We're not running now a sprint, it's a marathon, and it takes time, and having a lot of compassionate patience, curiosity, and trying to not take everything also too serious. You know, the monk.
Have a laugh.
The monk of the inner walk is a very loving, funny man. And he laughs all the time. Sometimes you can't even understand what he's saying. But it's just a reminder to also keep things simple and not take things too serious. And maybe when you're really, really serious, give yourself even like a smile that you're forcing. And you're like, okay, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe it's not that serious.
You know, before we finish, a lot of people that I encountered over the past whatever time that are going through what you've went through and going through still, in terms of like the awakening and like doing all these like taking all these tools and like learning, and they were like, I don't want them because I want to be my old me again. That my old me, automatic mode, go do this, be fine. I have many friends that are like that. They're like, I'm fine. They're like, they wake up, they don't need to do meditation, they don't need to do ice bath, they don't need to do rebirthing, they don't need to do anything. They just go to work, come back, do whatever, have dinner, the gym, but nothing is involving with any self, you know what I mean?
So there's two things you were talking about here. There's the people that have their life and they're happy and pleased in their life, and this is what they know, and this is what they're happy with, and I think it's great. I don't think everyone needs their awakening or to push through or to. If you're having a good, simple, happy life, why not? You can look at the villages, I haven't traveled in Thailand or in India, but when I was in South America and Central America, you see the people, their simplicity, and they're like very basic houses, living in a community, being very happy just by living life. So maybe in normal life today, for some person, it's just going to the job, doing his job, coming home, seeing his wife, his family, or coming home to his dog, or coming home and going to do his sports activity that he loves. And that's enough. And that's amazing. They don't need to change anything. There's no need to force change. This is one thing. And then there's the other part that you were talking about, which is the people that are already going through the change and still holding to this old self,
Yes.
old identity of me. And I talk about this all the time, and I struggle with this also. And I see this old part that I'm really reluctant of letting go. This old part of me that was living in Tel Aviv and having this life and being this person and working in marketing, having this group of friends and having this I don't know, this kind of mask. I was someone. And letting go of that, what would that mean for me? Who will I be? And it goes back to the question that who am I if I'm not that? And I think that's the question that happens that is really keeping us in that old version of ourselves, holding on to it. It exists. It was. I was that. It's not that I wasn't, but I'm not that today. And the more I'm holding on to that is where the suffering is creating, because I'm still attached to that part of myself. And also bringing compassion into that, because it was a beautiful part and I'm learning a new part and it takes time.
And maybe in a couple of years, you'll be finding yourself in a different place. I don't know where,
and maybe in a couple of
whatever.
years, this will be my old self.
Yeah,
Probably.
I'm
And I
like,
will
yeah, I
have a
was
new
doing
self.
this and that. I was doing inner walk. I was
Yeah.
like that, and now I'm whatever.
And that's
something
what I
else.
always say. This is who I am today. And I think for me, I feel like every day I'm becoming a better version of myself. And that is part of my life journey. To say, okay, even if today is a really shitty day and I'm like depressed and in bed and don't want to leave, all right, it's also a day. It's fine. But I know that by being with myself and listening to what my body is asking and being present, okay, this is my better version. I am becoming that every day. And always this thing that I will say again and again, compassion, softness, kindness. Because for me, my negative self talk is one of my biggest parts that really ruins me. Like I always tell everyone around me, if you think I'm critical or like sometimes I'm like judgmental or like just imagine what is going on inside of me. So just having that compassionate part for yourself towards others is reducing the judgment, bringing love into those places. I think love is like our superpower. Love is everything. And if we lead by compassion and from love,
Self-love.
that self-love, love, it's like love. It's just self-love is an interpretation that us as human developed. It's just love. We are creatures of love. And if we move out of that, if you're asking about motivation, when you move out of love, the motivation comes, things come, there is movement, life moves. If you move out of love and you're doing out of love and you're helping, great, what needs to be happening just will happen.
Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much. I was actually a bit nervous at the beginning, and now I feel like everything is just like settling down, like just hearing your voice. And I hope this will multiply into millions of people that
Me
listening to
too.
this
Me too.
podcast and hearing your voice because it's very relaxing, at least for me. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you like this episode or you think it can inspire other people, please feel free to share it. See you in the next episode of Wild Shift.